Hello everyone. So I'm Tamara Bennett from Southern Adoornments Decor, and I teach women how to paint door hangers. We're going to be painting this butterfly door hanger. It is 20 inches tall. It is made out of 1/4 inch MDF wood, and it is laser cut. We sell things like this in our shop. We have all kinds of different designs. For example, this one right here that I'm painting today does not have any lines etched in it, but normally my door hangers look like this, and they have these lines laser etched in the surface. So normally my door hangers come like this with the laser etching in the surface. This butterfly door hanger is not etched. Etched just means that it has the lines carved in the surface for easy painting. It's like paint by number. But we do have this design available as an etched blank in the shop. The particular one I'm painting on is not etched, however. So whenever you purchase this one, you'll have the option to get it etched or not etched. And if you want those lines on there and you're going to paint it exactly like I am, go ahead and get the etched. Now, you can also cut your own wood if you're brave enough. It's not that hard. It's just a little bit intimidating. I'm going to be using these colors here. Let's see. What are these? Peony pink or peony. I don't know how you say it. Laguna, which is a teal color, and magenta. And we're going to do a really fun ombre pattern on the background of this door hanger, and then we're going to do black on top of it to create the beautiful lines and details of the butterfly, and then we're going to do a little bit of hand lettering at the end. So I hope you guys have fun with this. Let me get this pulled up here. All right, we are going to be doing the pink at the bottom, the purple across the middle, and then the teal up at the top. So let's start. I use egg cartons for my paint. That might be a little weird, but it's awesome because the egg cartons keep the paint in a nice, neat little puddle, and then the paint doesn't dry out very quickly. All right, so we're going to use our peony pink color. This is a fairly wide flat tip brush. It's a little over 1 inch wide. I'm just going to kind of create a line where that's about where I want my pink to go up to. Now, if you were painting on an etched blank, if you purchase one of these, I want you to kind of be aware that you are going to have to paint on top of those etching lines, and that's totally okay. Those etching lines will still be visible even after you paint over them. And then we'll paint the black on top, so it's not a big deal. So if you're painting an etched blank, go ahead and paint right over those lines and don't worry about it. If you are doing the template, if you're printing out the template at home and painting along with me, you're going to want to just cut out the outer shape and then paint the background color before you transfer any of the other template lines on top of this. And if you're not sure how to get the inside template lines on here, I highly recommend that you get some graphite paper. Graphite paper is how all of our customers transfer their template designs to the wood. You just put the graphite paper under your template, you trace over the template design, and then it magically puts the pencil lines right on the door hanger for you, so you don't have to freehand draw anything. So easy. Okay, so we are getting the magenta laid down. Now, the magenta is, sorry, this is not magenta. I keep saying magenta. This is peony pink. The peony pink is already drying really quickly. So we're going to try to go ahead and put our magenta on, and then we may have to switch back and forth between magenta and peony pink, because when you're doing ombre, the colors that you're painting, sometimes you need to keep them wet in order for them to blend really well together. Okay, I'm not rinsing my brush out, by the way. I just dipped it right in the magenta, and I'm going to put it right on top of there. Now, let me go ahead and figure out where the magenta is going to stop. I'm thinking right about in here, roughly. We're just going to eyeball it. Hang on, we're going to need some more of this color. This is kind of a purple, but it's also got a lot of pink in it. And the key to painting ombre is to blend your colors really well, and the only real way to do that is to work quickly while your paints are still wet. So I'm going to get this first coat laid down right through here. And then I'm going to go down here and try to transfer and blend the pink and the magenta together. So I'm going to lay down a nice wet layer of the magenta. Then I'm going to dip back in the peony pink and go right on top of it. Going in back and forth strokes, dipping back in that pink. So I'm blending the pink and purple together now. And I'm kind of going up and down this way as I do it also to kind of fuse the colors together and get them to blend nicely. Okay, look how pretty that is. Okay, this is going to have another coat. The pink actually covered really well, but the purple could use another coat. By the way, all the paints I'm using today are Decor paints. Okay, now I'm going to dip back in the magenta, which is the purple-y color. I think technically the name magenta is more pink than purple, but this is a very purpley looking magenta, especially next to the peony pink. And I'm just going to give this a quick second coat. Look how pretty that is. All right, now let's do the Laguna color. I am going to go ahead and wash out my brush because I have a lot of purple on there. I'm trying to rinse all the paint out of my brush as much as I can because it was pretty wet. Okay, so now we got a clean brush. And I'm going to dip it in this color called Laguna. It is the prettiest teal. And we're just going to start putting that on here. You have to be careful because I almost dripped Laguna all over the place. It looks really good next to this purple, doesn't it? The fun part, like this is fun, but to me the fun part is when you do the next step where you lay the black on top of all of this to really make it come alive and make it look more like a butterfly. So stay tuned. We'll get to that in a moment, and then we'll do some hand lettering at the end. Okay, we're going to get our base coat of Laguna on there. If you struggle with brush strokes showing a lot, do longer strokes and use a wider brush. This brush that I'm using is a little over 1 inch wide, and so it does nice thick strokes so that the brush strokes don't show as well, or as badly, rather. Okay, almost got that covered. That's probably going to require another coat, but we're going to just work with it as we have it. All right, so now that we're next to the purple, I'm just going to start overlapping that purple just a little bit. See right through there where the purple's still wet, it's starting to blend. Long, quick strokes back and forth. Oh, there's a spot that didn't cover good. Now I'm going to go back and grab a little bit, oops, I'm out of it, a little bit of the magenta and go on top of the teal with it. So right here, while that teal is still wet, we're going to start blending up and down, back and forth into the teal. So pretty. These colors just make me so happy. Get a little bit of purple, do the same thing over here. Start blending up and down. Hang on, I'm out of teal too. It uses a lot of paint to paint a background color. This is the Laguna color again. I'm dipping in it just to keep everything workable and wet. If you have a hard time, if you don't paint very fast and you have a hard time getting your paints to blend like this, try using it's stuff called matte fluid medium, and it allows your paint to extend the dry time a little bit, and it will make painting ombre a lot easier. Also, if you don't have any of that, just do a little dip of your brush in just a tiny bit of water, and it makes it to where your brush isn't doing that harsh drag back and forth, and it feels like butter. It just starts to slide and glide so much easier. And that will help you blend your colors a little better. And just keep going back and forth until you feel like, let me get a little bit more teal. It's starting to get a little too purple right up in there. So now I'm just bringing some more of that teal down into the purple. So pretty. It's kind of crooked, isn't it? Oh, well, I kind of realized, like, after I looked up at the camera, I realized my teal's going uphill just a bit. Let me bring it down a little bit on this side. There we go. A little bit more magenta right in here to blend where it stops. Hang on, I need to rinse my brush. If you start dragging the other color, see this teal right here started to drag further down into the magenta, and I didn't want that. So I'm rinsing my brush out. I'm just going to go back and get just the purple color and start blending that back up into the teal, and that kind of allows that purple to take over again, and it's like, nope, I'm reclaiming this space. This is going to be purple, not teal. The colors are jockeying for power on the door hanger. There we go. Look how pretty that is. I'm so easily impressed with myself. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now it needs some more teal up in here, so I'm going to rinse that magenta out. I'm just putting on a second layer of the magenta. I did add a little bit of water to it because it was kind of sticking and my brush was kind of dragging really harshly. And now I'm just blending that right down into the purple again. Let me get a little bit more purple, just a tiny bit. I almost have to look ahead at what's on my computer screen to be able to see the overhead shot really well and see what it looks like. Okay, I think we're going to stop there because it looks pretty good and I don't want to mess it up any further. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. I'm going to go ahead and dry it with a hairdryer. And just so you know, if this is your first time painting ombre, it does not have to be perfect because what we're going to do next is going to hide a lot of the little flaws and imperfections that you might see in it because it's going to be like a second layer to everything with black. So let me dry it with my hairdryer and then we'll do the next thing. Okay, so let me just start before we do the next part and say, if you're using the etched blank when you're painting this, because like I said, a lot of our door hanger templates come like this with the lines etched and drawn on them. So the design I'm fixing to do, you can get it as an etched design in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. So if you're using an etched blank, on this next part, you're just going to follow inside the lines with black. If you're using a template and you've cut out your own wood, here is the part where you will lay your graphite paper out, lay your template down, and transfer the inside design on top of your ombre. Now make sure that your paint underneath is really dry before you do that because otherwise the graphite paper will stick to any wet paint and make a mess. And then you'll be upset. But I'm not using a template today or an etched blank because this is just what I had on hand and it's not an etched blank. And I kind of came up with this butterfly design yesterday. And so I'm just winging it today and showing you guys how I would paint it if I didn't have a template or an etched blank. So you guys will hopefully be able to use the template and the etched blank to make this a lot simpler than I'm probably about to make it look. Okay, I'm going to use chalk to draw out my design first. If I can find a piece of chalk, I've got some everywhere around here. There we go. And we're going to just draw out the design ahead of time. And then we'll go back and paint black inside the lines. So first I'm going to draw this is what you'd have to do if you didn't have a template or a blank. You'd have to freehand all this. So I'm going to make the inside part here black. I'm going to go up here and create like a border for the butterfly. So all of this area on the outside of here will be black. And I'm doing it in chalk. That way if I mess up, I can easily erase it with a baby wipe. Whoops, see, I didn't really connect that very well down here, but it doesn't really matter. It'll cover up. Okay, then I want to do, I'm looking at a picture up here too of what I had drawn the other day. I'm going to do one big stroke going up like this on each side. And then we'll do a smaller one inside of that, like that. It's so fun because I drew all of this out ahead of time on my iPad using the Procreate app. And now I'm like trying to make it come to life using paint. And that's always fun. Draw that and then a little loop there. Isn't this going to be so pretty? I'm so excited. Okay. Let's see. And then I had another big loop coming down here. Like that. Another big one right next to it. And then one coming out here. And then here. And here. And let's see, there was one kind of in the middle of these, right there. And then one inside of this one. Seems kind of complicated, but it's really not as complicated as it probably feels like. We're going to simplify it for you in a moment. Okay, so there's our overall butterfly design. I'm going to put my chalk down, and then I'm going to pick up a filbert tip paintbrush. If you don't know what a filbert tip paintbrush is, it's kind of flat, but it also has this rounded edge. We're going to be using this to fill everything in. All right, we're going to get some black paint. Put it in our little egg carton. I'm actually going to water it down just a little bit because I want it a little bit on the thinner side so that it spreads easily. Let me get a baby wipe just in case too. Baby wipes I always keep on hand in case I make a mess. And with black, if you make a mess, whoops, I just dropped it. If you're using black and you make a mess, you've got to be able to clean it up quickly. So I'm going to have my baby wipes on standby because I'm kind of messy, notoriously. We're going to mix our black paint with a little bit of water just to thin it out just a little bit. I love the thickness of Decor paints, but if I'm doing lots of detail lines and stuff, sometimes I like to thin it out a little bit. Okay, get that paint off there. Now, here we go. Here's the fun part. We're going to dip in our black. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. And that way, hopefully, I don't get my hand in any of the wet paint. So this ombre is going to peek out underneath all of the black details. Now we're going to paint this little part here in black, the middle part of the butterfly. And because we've thinned that black out a little bit, it's going on super smooth. And I'm just painting right on top of those chalk lines. Now, if for some reason you have a chalk line later that is showing up, you know, when you're completely done, after everything's dry, you can take a baby wipe and wipe any excess chalk off. I forgot one little loop. Oh, right here. I did. Thank you. You are right. This one's not going to be as symmetrical as yours will be. Now, if you're using my etched blank or my printable template, yours should be perfectly symmetrical. Because when I drew it on the iPad using the Procreate app, I used the symmetry drawing assist function. And so I made it perfectly symmetrical. But I'm not using a template today. I'm just freehanding this. I kind of hate to paint over some of these pretty colors, but the thing about black is it will make a lot of your bright, pretty colors pop even more when you use it. So it's kind of a good thing to use black when you're using these bright colors because it really does make them stand out. It provides contrast, I suppose. All right. I said I was going to work from the top down, but I must have lied because here I go painting along the outer edge. Anyway, all the way down. So we're just going to keep going with it and hope I don't get my arm in the paint. If children pop in here in a moment, it's because I'm home during this endless summer of Corona with 3 kids. So just, you know, ignore them if they come in here. They usually stay out, but you never know. All right, we've about got that outline on this side done. So pretty. And I'm just trying to make sure my edges are nice and smooth because I did kind of freehand this rather than using a template or anything. All right, so there's the outline of this side. Ooh, it's looking really good. I just caught a glimpse of it in the camera. Can I get this later to print the template? I can't print from my phone. Yes, Kimberly. You can type in your email and it should get emailed to you so that you can print it out later on your home computer or whatever you want to do. You should get it in an email. But you could also save it to your phone, save the file to your phone, and then send it to your computer if you need to. We're just going to go ahead and start on this outer line here before we start doing any of our inside lines. This is going to be so pretty. I get excited about new designs like this, especially once I've drawn them on the iPad and then I bring them to life in paint. There's something about that that just is so satisfying. that black is really making this beautiful. Terry, that is exactly my point earlier when I was talking about it feels counterintuitive to put black on top of such a beautiful, like colorful backdrop. But something about the black paint just brings out the vibrancy of the colors, and it makes it just, it brings out a wow factor. I guess it's the contrast of the black with the colors. So don't be afraid to put black on your door hangers that have lots of color. It's going to make everything stand out more. I need to make this side a little thicker compared to the other side. I may switch brushes in a moment too when I go to doing the inside lines. Okay, that looks really good. Let's see, let me look at the reflection in the camera. It does look really good. Okay, so we're going to rinse that brush out and just get a smaller one to do these inside lines, because that was a pretty thick brush. And if I use it on these inside lines, it might make the black look big and clumpy and like wide, and I don't want that. So I'm going to switch to actually a round tip brush. Ooh, this one's perfect. This is a size 6. It's actually a Royal and like nickel brush. And see, it's got a good embodiment of bristles right there. It's not super thin, so it's going to hold plenty of paint. I'm just going to get it a little bit damp and then dip it in my black. Almost said a word. I hope y'all are getting giggles out of this. Actually, before we get started too, I'm going to dry this because I just know I'm going to put my hand in it, and then I'm going to be kicking myself because it'll be hard to clean up later. Okay. We have got our round tip brush with black, and yes, to answer Ashley's question earlier, this black has been slightly thinned out with a little bit of water. Let me keep my paint handy right here. And then we're just going to trace over the chalk lines. Now, if you missed what I said earlier, you can grab the free butterfly template by going to the link that we provided up here in the video description, or if you're watching on my Facebook page, Southern Adoornments Decor, we've put it over in the comments. You can get it by going there, typing in your email. It will give you a PDF. The PDF has a link to download the template. It has the color list, and it has a coupon to get 10% off your order of blanks in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. You can go and get a butterfly template just like this. I mean, not template, a butterfly blank just like this one. And paint your own butterfly. And you can actually get it etched with the lines already carved in the surface with this pattern that I'm doing right now. Now, I freehanded this one with chalk, but I've also got the template already drawn up for you guys with the lines on it and the etched blank, so that you don't have to freehand anything with chalk. You can skip that step and just paint inside the lines. So easy. Look at that. So pretty. So we've just traced right over the top of our chalk lines, and they cover so nicely. Now see how, because I switched brushes to this round tip brush, the lines that I'm drawing are nicer and thinner than the outside lines that I outlined the butterfly with. That's what I wanted. I didn't want these inside lines to be super thick. Now, because I'm painting on top of chalk, my brush and my paint is actually like drying up a little faster than it normally would. So that's why I'm having to redip my brush so often. It's just because the chalk begins to build up on the brush. But it's not a big deal. You also have to kind of be careful when you're going back and forth from your egg carton to your door hanger, dipping your brush, because you can easily pick up little bits of paint and splatter them, and you don't want that. So just be careful when you're lifting your brush in and out of your egg carton or off your plate. Make sure you're not stringing little bits of paint, especially since we've thinned this paint out just a little bit. Let's start on this side and work our way down before we go any lower. You need them paint. Georgie, you can get this kind of paint at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You can also order direct from the Deco Art website or on Amazon. That is right, Sherry. Baby wipes are our best friend when painting. I always keep them handy because if I goof up and drop something, if I goofed up right now and dripped black paint on something that I didn't want it on, it would be really difficult to like paint over it and fix it because we did ombre, and the ombre is difficult to recreate, you know, if you're needing to patch a spot. It's much easier if you've got a baby wipe handy to just wipe up your boo-boo. Charlie is going to want this for her bedroom door. I just know it. Right now, she has a llama door hanger hanging on her door that I painted a long time ago. So it's probably time for a new door hanger for Charlie's door. Any little spots that you see chalk peeking through, I'm not worried about that. I'll go back and clean that up when this is completely dry. I'll wipe the excess chalk off. And then once we get all of these black lines on there, I'm going to go back and we're going to hand letter the best we can the word hope right across the middle, because this door hanger actually made me think of like cancer survival, and that's what it kind of reminded me of. And so I thought, what if we did the word hope, and then it would kind of be like a cancer survival door hanger. But hope could stand for lots of things. But if you don't have access to a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's or somewhere to buy deco art, you can use the stuff at Walmart in a pinch. I just highly recommend that eventually, if you get into this, that you invest in better quality paints. It'll make your life easier. Because there's some colors that just don't cover well. But I found some with deco art that cover way better than their apple barrel counterparts. Look how pretty that is. Eee! I'm getting so giddy over this one. Okay, let's finish this side up. This is very therapeutic. Very relaxing. Lots of ladies who are in my Painters Clubhouse membership have talked about how therapeutic painting has been to them. Like if they have a stressful day at work, they come home and they paint. Or if they're a mom who stays home with their kids and they need something that's just something for them, because, you know, like as mamas, sometimes we kind of wear all the hats and we become the go-to person for all of that stuff. And so we kind of lose our sense of self. And so a lot of women have found a creative outlet through painting door hangers that they didn't know existed. There's a couple of members in our Painters Clubhouse. I'm thinking of Erica right offhand. And Erica, if you're watching, I love you. But she said her husband noticed that a few months after she joined the Painters Clubhouse, it was like he got the old version of Erica back. I guess like over time she had begun to like lose herself in becoming a mom and, you know, working and doing all the things. And through painting, she kind of like rediscovered something that was just for her. And so I just think that's awesome. And so if you guys need something like that, that is just your own, that is like your creative outlet, I highly recommend that you give door hanger painting a try. It can be very therapeutic, but also very addictive. Okay, that looks really good, y'all. I'm excited about this. Do y'all see any spots that I missed? I see some chalk and things peeking through, but I'm not worried about that. We're going to dry it and then clean that up. Ashley said it's very relaxing watching too. Yes, you're right about that. Okay, let's dry this and then we're going to do our hand lettering. Okay, I made a little boo-boo right here. I was going to show you guys. I thought, ooh, I'll just wipe that little chalk line up, and I accidentally got into the black paint and made a little bit of a mess right there. But I'm not going to worry about it. We're not going to stress over it because in the long run, that's a tiny little spot nobody's going to notice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until later, probably when I'm off camera, to actually erase the rest of these little chalk lines, because I think this paint needs some time to like really dry before I take a baby wipe to it and wipe the excess chalk off. Okay, you guys ready to do the hand lettering part? I'm going to write this with chalk, and then we're going to paint over it with white paint. And then after we finish the hand lettering, we're going to do some little white accents out here in some of these areas, and I'll explain why in a moment. So hold your breath while I paint the letter, or while I write out the word hope, and then we're going to paint it and hope that it's beautiful. Hope that it's beautiful. Okay, I'm looking up also at what I practiced writing, because I practiced writing this word on my, oops, and my paint's not completely dry because I just got into a little bit of black right there. I practiced writing this on the iPad last night. Picking up my chalk after every letter. And I'm trying to also remember to give myself a little bit of space between the letters so that I can have room for thick and thin, down and up strokes. Okay, I think I'm going to use the same brush too that we used for the black, which is that round tip brush, because it's got a really good, it's like the perfect size for this. So I'm rinsing all the black out of it. We're going to get our egg carton and get some white paint. I'm not going to thin out my white paint. Hang on, I got some water on my brush that's slipping around. Okay, here we go. Ready? Whew. Don't screw this up, Tamara. I'm using a round tip brush and just pushing down for my wide or my thick downstrokes. And then do really light upstroke. I'm going to go the opposite direction though to make that round out. Actually, and I had this coming over here just a little bit further in my example, and then I had like a little, almost like a teardrop shape on the end of it. Danielle is a much better hand lettering teacher than I am. I've learned so much from her going through her course. I even learned how to make the fun little animated GIFs or GIFs or whatever you call them. That was really fun. Okay. Whew. It's looking good so far. And now for a thicker downstroke right here, going to push down nice and flat and lift up. That actually went really well. Connect that H. I cracked myself up. I feel like this needs to be rounded out just a little bit more. I'm going to do my little teardrop shape kind of on the end here to match the one on the other end. Okay. There's a couple of places that need like a second coat because the black is pretty strong underneath. So I'm going to just go back and add a little bit of thickness to a few of these, and then we'll go back and add some white accents on the rest of the butterfly. And the reason we're going to do that is because if you'll notice right now, the white is the only thing that's not black or ombre, and so it almost needs a little bit more movement is what I like to call it. I don't know if that's the right way, but the right word to describe it, but like I like for my door hangers to have lots of stuff going on to where they're kind of not busy, but that your eye is attracted to multiple parts of the door hanger at the same time. And so to create that effect, I use white highlights and little accents to kind of make your eye jump around on the door hanger so that you notice different parts of it. Whoops, hang on. I got my hand in the wet paint. I didn't mess nothing up, but I was afraid I was going to put my hand down and mess something else up. Such a fun door hanger. Okay, if you had this door hanger, by the way, do you know someone who would enjoy it? Who would you give it to? if you had one like this? Do you know somebody who maybe has fought cancer that would appreciate a door hanger like this? Or is there another like thing that this door hanger makes you think of somebody who would enjoy it? Okay, let's get to the last part before I answer questions and stuff like that. Let's see. I just need something that does small polka dots. Let me see. I've got some things down here. Let's see how big these are. I've got these little sponge pouncers. This may actually work. Okay. These little sponge pouncers, you can get them at the Walmart or whatever, or the craft store. I also sell them in my shop if you can't find them anywhere. This is the smallest size. And so we're just going to do some little dots in places to kind of add a little bit of interest. And so we're just going to do like some right up here. Whoops. I just realized this is quite a bit big. So let's use both ends. We'll use like, make those 3 different sizes. Okay, so the first dot's going to be the bigger end of the sponge. Second dot is the smaller end of the sponge, but made a little bigger. We're rocking and rolling and just making this up as we go. Just like that. I'm just going to do a single dot with the small end of the paint thing right here. Whatever I do on this side, I'm doing it on this side. We need some symmetry in this butterfly. There and there. There and there. Let's see, we'll do 1, 2 right there. 1, 2 there. Isn't this so pretty? See how the white is now drawing your eye to different parts of the door hanger? I'm just using the bottom end of this little dowel rod thing that's on this little sponge to do this. Oops, that one needs another little dot. Okay, I'm looking to see if I missed any little dots that I wanted to do. I think I had planned to do some right through here, but that area isn't big enough now, so I'm not going to do those. So as you notice, like if we had just left the word hope, your eye would be drawn to the word hope. But because we added these little white details, now your eye like backs up and is like, whoa, and it's trying to take in the entire thing at one time. And so it makes it overall more eye-catching. I appreciate you all so much.